Hello everyone, good morning and welcome to my Ascension Messages. My name is Bobby and I will be your guide for today. Today I'm going to do some channeling. I'm going to contact my team. My team consists of Cyanians, who are high-end Pleiadian beings, and Pleiadians and the Arcturians. And Gaia, Mother Earth herself, sometimes I connect into her elementals. Now, I'm a conscious channeler, so that means I don't go into a zone and bring through someone like a medium. I have a connection, like a telepathic connection to my guides, and that is because for the first 50 years they showed up, they showed me things, I actually saw things physically and etherically, things that others couldn't see. And I got used to their vibration. I got used to who they are and what they're about. And and so through that story and that alignment, I ended up being able to channel. So when I turned 50, all the visions kind of stopped. I hardly have any visions now. And they started to wake me up and give me channel messages. And it would take me a couple of weeks because it was so profound, these messages, that I would be inspired to put a video to them. And it took me a couple of weeks to put the video together. And then after that, another channel message would come through, and they practiced with me like that for 2 years. And then I went through a terrible breakup, and then I ended up just going, stuff it all, I'm just going to start going live and channeling. And so that's how that all came about. So I've been definitely prepped for this. Now, at the moment, there's a lot happening with the solar flares. We are also going through, I think it's called Leonard meteorites as well. So there's a lot that's happening at the moment. There's also alignments of planets. It's getting exciting, guys. Now, if you don't know already, if you haven't been following me, the last 2 channelings that I did, which was last Tuesday morning in Brisbane, and then Thursday, the first one I was already predicting that we were going to move through the fires, that there was going to be solar flares, and then boom, the very next moment after I did that channeling, we were showing up. These solar flares are showing up, 3 of them. And then on Thursday, when 3 had already happened, I actually mentioned in the next channeling, it was kind of like a tarot channeling thing happening on my live, that we might have a 4th solar flare. And guess what happened? We had a 4th solar flare. So I'm really in the zone at the moment, and I just want to tune in. There's a lot, they're really bringing up a strong feeling of the feminine power being in more in its authenticity than ever before. It was obviously before the fall we're talking about, than ever before, and during the fall. And the fall was the fall of the feminine. That's why they were written out. And anything, if a female was in power, it was kind of written out, it was scrubbed out of humanity's consciousness because of the path that we had to take for the masculine to be in charge for a while, and us get to understand the masculine in that level and what can happen if it does take over too much, which we can see what happens when it takes over too much. It creates too many rules and restrictions and laws and tries to predict the future by only grabbing the past and that sort of stuff. So the feminine will be able to shift, is the thing that's going to be shifting our reality, because, and this is the feminine side within you, you have that within you, masculine and feminine. Or if you're in a partnership, if you have a more masculine partner and a more feminine power, you probably step into these roles as well. Same goes with the more feminine spiritual country, and opposed to a more masculine physical country. It's just, that's how it works. We can see it in that, as in the micro as well as in the macro. So the feminine power is really standing up for itself now. I mean, I was just taken recently to and I've never followed this, Miss Universe. And there was a big stand up against somebody speaking not so nicely to Miss Mexico. And that was a male that was standing up. And then they all walked out. And see, there was no resistance. It was just a straight, no, we're not putting up with this energy. We'd rather create our own energy over here. We'd rather create our own story over here. We're not putting up with this anymore. And like within our own psyche, this is what's happening. So during these solar flares, it's a shift into a balance that's coming back to an authentic self. And our authentic self isn't out of balance. So before, if you were rigged up to a kind of a machine thing that could tell what side of the brain was more active, usually the left side of the brain was more active, which is in response to our right side. And that's why everyone was taught to write with only the right hand. So now we are learning to come into balance. We had a lot of autistic children that were born more with the other side of the brain active, and their response to the world and how they could move through the world was more of a remembrance of their soul connection. So then they become beautiful, famous pianists and artists and things of the past that they knew of. They could bring through these divine sparks of knowing things. And just being able to tune into the Akashic records or the whatever you want to call it, source energy, and pull through answers and stuff. That's more of a feminine power. And so there was a big kind of a shift where just to get us into more balance, they were born so we could see that power. And now we're all being asked individually to do this work for ourselves. So whenever we are catching ourselves talking to ourselves in a negative tone, it's usually coming from a controlling, logical mindset. And then you'll know that, oh, I'm still in my head. I'm still in my logical mindset. Let's let this go and just feel into the vibration at the moment, because I want to center myself to be able to ask for these questions that I have to come to me through an authentic line. And that authentic line could be something that the masculine wouldn't understand, but it is just as valuable, because it can give you, as a soul, you can see yourself as an observer, or feel into yourself as an observer of your reality, and then you'll find many other different paths that you weren't privy to if you just worked your life as a logical based person, because a logical based person can only grab from the past and project into the future. It cannot create something new. That is what the feminine power is all about. Shifting the story, grabbing the imagination, imagining and willing up new stories to come into your mind, so that you can ask then the logical self, can we ground this? Do we want to ground this? Is this a beautiful story enough to ground this? So all of this is shifting up at the moment. And we're going to see more of this empowered feminine spark consciousness coming in. Now, that's not to say that they're going to take over or anything like that. Actually, what they're going to be doing is, and if they're in their authentic truth, is to awaken the masculine. So the way that they awaken the masculine is asking the masculine to step into its power of support. In other words, yes, that is a good story. Let's support that story. See if we can ground that story. I have abilities of knowing how to work with the physical world, of how to ground the story. And also the masculine holds space for safety for the feminine to be able to leave this planet. Now, they're bringing me to this really profound message that I got back in Egypt in the Egyptian times. So in the Egyptian times, they showed me the males sitting around like an auditorium, kind of a small auditorium thing, just a little room. And then they had the females come in and dance. Now, the males, they said to me, weren't just sitting there and observing and perving or anything like that. They were actually holding space for the females to be able to free themselves up, to be able to grab imaginations and bring through new stories. And then the females would feed the males the grapes and things, because they were shifting, they were passing through energy. They were like DNA exchanging and awakening the masculine to these imaginings as well. So there was this feeding or nurturing of that as a symbolic thing, but also obviously a sharing of the story through the dance. So there's something happening here with the females becoming more empowered, but becoming more empowered within themselves. Of we have the ability to shine into the imagination and imagine a new story. See, this could happen for somebody just in a personal one person, like their imagination goes off, grabs something, asks their masculine, can you support this story? Yes, I love that story. That story is beautiful. I would love you to have all of the desires and the passions and the, beautiful work that you want to do in this world. I would love for you to be able to have that. I'm not going to put you down anymore for it. I'm going to build you up. So we're learning to change the self-talk within ourselves, which is coming from a masculine side, which was in fear, remember, before. And that's why it kept putting us down, because it was scared that we wouldn't fit into this outside world. But now we're coming back to just our sovereign selves and our authentic selves. It has that ability. If we support ourselves, we are we are a walking, talking entity of our own right. That's what they're saying. So, yeah, see what I'm saying? That a masculine has then gone, oh, I have a new reason for being here, or a new empowered feeling within myself, because I'm supporting this part of myself, or this other person who's very imaginative, to be able to ground a beautiful story. I agree with that story, and now I'm going to create a safe space. And so the masculine is here also to create the safe space for us to actually create the story and know with assertiveness how to move through the world and say no to the things that will be putting us down and yes to the things that are moving us up. Like standing the ground, there's a certain amount of protection there in the physical world that the masculine holds for the feminine, so the feminine can relax now. I feel safe in this world. Now I can shine. Now I can really move into the etheric and bring back these gorgeous stories. Now, not all of those stories are going to be grounded, but and the feminine has to realize that. So the feminine has to know that just because they pull through a story and want to change the story up, doesn't mean, if the masculine doesn't agree with it, it will not be grounded. So, and that's been most of the problem with the so-called feminine people of this world, who they imagine all this, conjure up all this beautiful stories, but they're all poor. They never really grounded any of it. And they go flicker from one imagination to another, or one story to another, and you can see it in the way that they work. So this is more of we have to find this balance within us. And okay, so the solar flares are really shifting us into this empowered state. It's never going to return back to what it was before. People are still moving through the fires. These solar flares are definitely shifting them with the fires that are coming towards us at the moment. And if you haven't done the work before, then by golly, you're going to be faced off with things that you need to shift within yourself to come into a more empowered state, to be able to move into these new frequencies, because the old frequencies that were out of balance are leaving humanity's consciousness. They're literally non-void. It's not going to work anymore. It's just not going to work anymore. Yeah, so that's happening. Now, I do know that there was a question right at the beginning here. Hey, everybody in the chat bar. Jeannie, she said, a question, are we ending a cycle and moving to the next? Something maybe about time and the 13th. Yes, we are definitely moving into that new cycle, but the awareness of the person that is on this planet that is observing this cycle, and how you are observing the cycle will depend on how much work you've done, inner work you've done yourself. So if you're just starting with the clearing of yourself and coming into a balance, then you really won't understand probably what I don't know, you might understand what I'm saying. It might be a seed that's planted for you, but you would feel differently. You would feel like everything's just coming at you and your world is crashing down. You're going through massive tower moments and all that sort of stuff. If you have done the work up till now, then you're going to see more of you standing in your power as a whole authentic person, which will bring in all these gifts. You'll start to see gifts, people coming into your life that are actually reflecting your heart space and giving gifts. You'll start to open up gifts of that were in the imagination, but not really agreed to by your logical mind, because it was so scared you wouldn't fit into this world. But the world is all breaking up now, so it's like, well, I might as well just have a go at this new thing. Why not try telepathy? Why not try games and that, to teach myself how to channel, or teach myself how to become more telekinetic, or what? Why not try something outside the box? Because it doesn't matter anymore. Everybody's doing their own thing anyway. And so that's literally smashing down the illusions, so that we can readjust ourselves back into an authentic self. So yeah, definitely we are moving into the next cycle. And that's going to also, because the feminine power is going to start standing up for themselves. They know the feminine, when they're really in their authentic self, they will be in tune with their soul. They'll be in tune with the what might perceive as the Akashic records. They'll be in tune with source energy, and so that means that they'll be in tune with the nature of things, and Earth herself, the natural cycle of life. And so we will bring back the 13th horoscope. We'll bring back the calendar moving into 13 months and that sort of thing. It will all be brought back into balance. We will start to listen to music that's more frequency alignment. It's that they're showing me crickets. When crickets sing, if you slow their sound down to the same lifespan as a human, so cricket has a very short lifespan. If you slow it down to a lifespan of a human, sounds like choir of beautiful people singing. So we will start to understand the vibrations that we have within our voices, and how we move and speak in this world. Words will become more authentic. You'll become more understanding of how you say things. It'll be in alignment with your heart and your soul, more than just trying to promote yourself. There's more of an alignment, an authentic alignment that's coming in this future. So a lot of other things will start to shift. Now, they're also telling me that be open. The feminine needs to be open, because to even changing things outside of the original calendar of the 13th month and stuff, because new bodies will come into alignment with Earth that are going to shift things. It's very interesting. So because we're actually changing a massive timeline here. This is like full circle, huge story coming to the end, and then coming through the essence of the Taurus energy, or the source energy, back out to a whole new game. Like, this is a whole new game. And so in reflection, we're going to see or understand of new bodies in our reality, where instead of trying to divide and conquer, it will be more of a expansion of awareness of what these solar, if we go out to space, these meteorites, comets, and that the influence they have on us energetically. And in the ancient times, they knew of this because they were more in tune with their energetic connection to those bodies that were coming around Earth and around the sun and slingshotting out, gifting us a different energy in that moment. And so they would work with the energy instead of if the logical mind was there, it wouldn't have understood it because it wasn't a feeling-based thing. It was more just a practical looking 5 senses thing. So there's a lot more shifts that's going to happen in our understanding and our connection to everything from a feeling base. Many, many, many more shifts going to happen. What else have we got here? Hi, everybody. Anyway, in the chat bar, hey, Mary, hey, Liz, hey, Sky, hey, Jeannie, hey, Wade. Good to see my team. Zen, Debbie. Good to see you guys. Annie in the chat bar. So maybe it's more important to bring in the new reality and not worry about releasing as it will happen naturally. Yeah, that's the key. That's one of the key things. So here we are with our logical mind. We're still kind of, oh, but that happened in the past. It's going to happen in the future. It will if you keep focusing on it, because remember, your focus determines your reality in the end. The more you focus in on something, the more it shows up for you. And we're starting to realize this when we do this work. So the better thing to do would be like not to ignore what is happening, but more of a I see that for what it is, but that's not the story I want to focus in on. I see it for what it is. Okay. No, I'm not going to hide. I'm not going to put my head in the sand and wait for a tornado to hit me. I'm going to stand up, be in my power, and then see the tornado coming and shift aside of it, because I don't want to be a part of that. I don't want to be caught in the whirlwind of it. I don't want to be caught in that. And I don't want to add any more fuel to it either. It's like the more that it collects, the more it becomes bigger, and the more energies and more people's souls that are like collectively coming together to create that reality. That's the collective consciousness of humanity zoning in all in at once on a problem and trying to fix it from the outside. It's no longer going to work that way. It's more of I'm stepping outside of that circle. I see it for what it is, but I'm not going to be afraid of it, because I know I can shift my story. My individual story is enough. That's what I'm in control of. That's what I know how to shift. And how do I shift that? I imagine a beautiful scenario. I imagine something way better than that. And I am now going to pour all my actions towards that scenario, that story, and watch my universe shift to that, rather than be a part of the collective disharmony. Excuse me. So yeah, we're going to become so in tune with ourselves and so respectful of ourselves that we're going to create this new story, because at the core essence of all of humanity, we are looking for peace. There was something that I actually wrote down, which just reminded me of that channeling that I wrote, because I wrote a bit of a channel message earlier on. And it said, we feel we are driven by and controlled by fear. We feel we are driven by control and by fear, but actually we are driven by peace. And this is switching things up, right? Peace is what we are trying to find through every emotion and every action. Worrying about money because you want to find peace through feeling safe in this world. To be yourself and to be able to ground your ideas. To create a lifestyle for yourself so you make this world a fun place to live in, giving you peace of mind as happiness lives alongside of peace. Peace is what you get when you get angry with another, screaming. Yeah, peace is what you're after, when you get angry with another. You're screaming to be heard, to be validated, to be in control so that you can find peace of mind. If you see it from that perspective, everything you are actually trying to find peace, but you think that you control the outside world or control a person outside of you will bring you that peace, but it never really does, because then you feel guilty about yelling and screaming and all of that sort of stuff, right? But you are after peace. It's what's driving you. We are looking for peace when we deny our feelings and do things to fit into other plans, things we thought others would like, because we felt like we had a place in this world. Even if you ignore your feeling, we are looking for a place in. Sorry, I haven't written this down very well. I haven't gone over it. We're looking for a place in this world that, even if you are ignoring your own feelings, and you want to feel loved and you want to be involved, then you'll find peace of mind if you are accepted by the outside world. So you kind of ignore your feelings, just do what somebody else does, but you're actually after peace. So yeah, everything is to do with that. Peace of mind is the driving force for all this negativity. So why not just trust peace, surrender to peace, allow your mind to still and just see if the whole world calms down with you. So that's what they were telling me, like, just why not just go straight to the fact that I am going to find peace within myself. Now, if something traumatic is happening with you, ask yourself in that moment, what will bring me into alignment of peace for myself right in this moment? What's going to help me? It could be listening to music. It could be, I'm just going to sit here and close my eyes and just breathe for a moment, focus on my breath. It could be anything. Like myself, there's been some traumatic things that has happened to me since the solar flares, and some beautiful things that have come out of it because I held peace. Literally, my story is I had someone crash into the back of my car, and I literally like whacked my head and everything, and the whole back of my car smushed in. And I just held this peace. I did go into victim a bit because I was getting a little worried about the way I was losing a bit of memory for a bit there. But all in all, what had happened was I was asking the day before, I really need a hug, like a physical hug. And this lady that crashed into the back of me, absolutely gorgeous person, first thing she did was come up and give me the biggest hug. And I'm like, okay, there's my hug. And I had been focusing on getting a new car. And I'm like, how am I going to get a new car? I'm not going to be able to get a new car. And then I ended up, the tow people came in really quickly. They organized everything. I got a new car. It's so fancy. I'm driving this new car. It's a hire car, obviously, until my car's fixed. But it all like went ting, 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 ting. And I made friends with everybody. Everybody's beautiful. It was just so easy. Like the whole thing just worked so easy. So see what I mean by things could happen to us, but it's like a test. Are you ready to hold your inner peace? Are you ready to hold your power within your mind to stay in inner peace through your story, whatever story is that's coming your way? Can you do this? Because then you have the power to step into all sorts of so-called dramas with your peace that you've found, the stability of yourself, and shift it into a wonderful story. And so, yeah, that's the power of coming together as an authentic person and moving through this life and not allowing something to be so dramatic. And, oh my God, everybody felt sorry for me and falling into victim and that. I have to admit that I did fall into a little bit of victims. I was aware of that the next day. I'm like, oh, I didn't like how I did that. So I'm like, oh my God, I'm losing my memory. No. Yeah, so they really took me through a bit of a traumatic space there. But I did end up meeting the most beautiful people and everyone. Yeah, it was just really fantastic anyway, so that's cool. Okay. The pool was already peed on when I was born. Mary, you're funny. Okay, so I'm going to grab my crystals and see what else comes through. For us. Yes, there's going to be a lot of changes and shifts. I really don't see a sense of females being in charge or males being in charge. Actually, if anything, I see couples being more together, power couples coming in. power groups coming in. Those that are bring or grounding a new ways of living, and then you're either gonna feel comfortable with that new way of living or you're not, and you're gonna go find some other group. There's going to be a lot more seeing everybody, because the feminine mind and its power sees everyone, because its connection to source energy, it sees everyone outside of itself as a natural extension of itself. And so there'll be a lot more caring and sharing going on. If somebody is in lack of something in a physical way, there'll be a lot more, well, here, I have an offering for you. That sort of thing will start to happen more, just purely because the feminine power is in alignment with source energy, and realizing everything outside of it is a mere reflection of it. So it's not that you go seeking for these things unless you feel it's your mission to do so, and then you will do that. But if you come into alignment with somebody that is really needing your help, then you could see, well, I'm in a position to be able to help at this moment. So you won't be afraid to offer your help. That sort of thing. So it's more of a free exchange that's coming up. This is going to take a bit of time, though, because we have this money exchange, and there is a kind of a fun game that we play with going shopping and all of that sort of thing. I mean, it's all fun, isn't it? Like, but we need to. It's like I suppose what they're trying to show me is, we're stepping out of the survival game and moving into the thriving game. And that's going to take more of an alignment with those that are creating these beautiful new tribes, new groups of understanding and sharing and caring, because there's going to be some people that have bucket loads of physical money, and then others that have bucket loads of understanding how to shift the mind and that sort of stuff. When you get that coming together, holy crap, that's empowerment right there. But coming from a heart space for a common goal, to help shift humanity. I mean, because in the end, we all leave this world, right? It's not that we're going to be holding on to anything physical when we leave this world. We're back in the etheric world. And then the real main game is, have you learnt the lesson that you wanted to learn while you were living? Did you become the powerful, loving, beautiful person that you wanted to become while you were living? And that seems to also take precedent over feeling safe in this world in a physical way, money-wise, which is what the logical mind needs to feel. So there's this coming together of divine sparks of humans that are going to work a lot better together in their missions and stuff. Something like that's coming up for me as well. Okay, I'm just gonna tune in again. See what else they want to bring through. So we have. Okay, so the last message that I got was to do with 4 solar flares coming in, and they showed that was coming through because I pulled a card that said it was the 4 of Wands, and the 4 of Wands is a meeting place of manifestation. It has the 1111 on it. It's the 1111 is one of the first awakening codes that humanity is gifted to themselves, to realize we need balance on both sides within ourselves. And we need to take into account that feminine side of ourselves as well as the masculine. So we've got the 4 pillars that are happening. Now, why are they showing me that? That's so relevant. Now they're bringing the pyramids. There's something to do with exchange of energy and recognizing each parts of self as source energy. But why is this? It's to help us, guide us, shift us into something. It's a new perspective. Okay, so there's new perspectives coming to humanity in the way that we live our life. those that are still lost, let them, energy itself will speak for itself around those that are still lost. They will entangle with each other to reflect what you've already gone through over the last 5 years of awakening yourself to this point, or 2 years, whatever it took, however long it took for you to start awakening into understanding it was all to do with how you perceive your world is how the world perceives you. So there's a definite outer and inner understanding here. The more love that you have for the world, the more the world has love for you, and that's a protection right there, because the world or Mother Earth or whatever, Earth herself, she wouldn't want you to leave if you're holding such a beautiful vibration here. So that's your protection. In other words, whenever somebody tries to do harm to you, you always turn the corner just in time before they get there. You won't even have to worry about it. The worry would actually pull you into their problem. So you living your authentic truth and being in balance with yourself is your protection as you move through your life. So then you're going to be able to want to come out with all these new business ideas and understandings of what you actually want to ground on Earth. So lots of changing up of what's really necessary in this world. What are we actually building? Even the infrastructure. I don't know if I'm saying that way. I'm saying that word wrong. I can see it. Infrastructure, whatever, of the world. In other words, they show me buildings, and that the way that we actually build our buildings, all of that's going to shift. It's not going to be to do with money as much as it is to do with energy alignment. We need that energy alignment with Earth to be able to flourish and feel really happy here. So the little square boxes that we live in, that's not going to be so, I mean, it's kind of, it's been built up that way because the companies that are building them are after more money. They have a certain amount of land. They're squashing everybody in, even in Australia, which has a huge amount of land, squashing everybody into these very small, tight positions. But what it's also doing is it's putting us in a situation where our energy is able to affect more people if you have awoken, because you're in a tighter community. That's all going to start to shift, because people are going to bring in new companies, new designs, new understandings that has to be energetically aligned as well. The cities that will be birthed from this, these new cities, will be more in alignment with Earth herself as well. So there's a lot that's changing. The wars are all going to be not even going to be in our reality, because we stop warring within our minds. And so a natural reflection will be no wars outside of us. That only happened because we had a war within us. Everything was reflected. And the war was, I'm not going to listen to my gut instinct there. It makes no sense to my logical mind. And the outside people will not see me as, will not understand why I made this move or whatever. All of that's dismantling. Yeah, so huge changes. One voice can change a world. Yes, Wade, absolutely. We all have our own voice as we're moving along in this world. There's no one better than another, because when you get to that point of empowering the feminine side of yourself and really connecting to source energy, you see that if you really, really got there, you see everybody is source energy. So they're all like mini gods walking around, but they don't understand that of themselves. But then you can. So it's like, well, that was your decision to be in that closed situation. And not see yourself of value in that moment. But you don't try to change it. You allow a space for someone to grow instead. And and you'll know what to do with the right people as they come in. Sometimes you need to walk away. Sometimes you need to offer a hand. There's nothing wrong with whatever way it is, whatever you're feeling in that moment. Because if we're always offering hands to people outside of ourselves that are in a victim state, then they get used to being in a victim state. You're actually giving them the feeling of being in a victim for the rest of their lives. So that's not good either. I learned that lesson many years ago. But obviously, if you felt, I've definitely helped people. I've helped, people along in my life, but I've assessed the situation. Are they grasping? Are they in a victim place? Are they trying to pull me in, to use me, and there's no exchange? Then they need to stand on their own by themselves, like I've done on my own. Had to find my own self out of my own victimized situation, and then they can be part of, then the next time you see them, maybe they've shifted and they're not in a victimized situation. You feel it. So this is the awakening of the feminine self. You'll feel it, and then you'll go, now I want to help you, because now I've got this that I can offer for you. And I've definitely done that with certain friends. Certain friends I've had to say no to, and certain friends I've given them, it didn't worry me at all, because the energy was right. The person wasn't in a victim state. They were just in a place where I was there as their gift. I became their gift that they were trying to manifest. And so I loved the thought that I was their gift. And whether it be in a money exchange or whatever, a house exchange, living with me for a while, whatever it was, I opened my doors. But as soon as it became more of a, if the person was lying, deceiving, trying to manipulate the game, falling into real victim and never really looking at themselves and that, then I would say, no, you need to go find yourself for a bit, because otherwise I'm just, I'm making you more of a victim. I'm literally helping you become more of a victim if I give you something. So this is going to be the feminine power and understanding as we move. It's not logically based. You're either a giver or you're a receiver. No, you could be whatever you feel like in the moment, and you're giving yourself that freedom to express yourself. If it feels right, do it. If it feels wrong, don't do it. Always come back to your heart. Protect who you are as you move through this world. This is literal lessons for light workers as we move on. Come back to your stable self as you move along. If you find there's an issue and you still got to clear up a little bit of, tying up some things that you haven't tied up, got some issues there that of your own, come back to yourself, realign, ask yourself what you need in this moment, or what do you need for where's your actual focus going. So for me, just to give you an example, trying to build this business up, right. And I have got some plans in motion of how to do that. But I'm just sitting back a bit at the moment, because I want it to be in alignment with my heart space. And before I really take a giant leap into the world of here I am, big time. And yeah, I was going to give you an example, but now I've kind of lost my train of thought. Sorry about that, guys. There's something about the way that we move in this world. Sorry, I just got to reconnect again. Why would I do that? That's really interesting. A disconnection. Can't force anything. Don't try to force anything. Maybe you're giving me a lesson right here, right now. If there's nothing coming to you, don't try to force something logically. Oh, I have to do this way because people are looking out for me. There's something about a natural, just you holding your vibration is enough for something natural to come in, because other people are starting to realize that they have something to offer for somebody else to grow. There's a knitting or a coming together. Okay, maybe they're just giving me a little bit of a heads up here. Try not to force, because I do tend to do that, where I'm like in my mind going, I have to, because my soul wants me to get me out there, and I have everything. I even have some money put aside for advertisements and stuff. But it's just like, how do I do this and take this leap? And like, just calm. Just sit in the energy, it'll all come to you. Okay, that was weird how that all happened. I literally lost my train of thought. It's like they came in and blocked me. Okay, I think that there's secrets, something's going to come. And I don't think it's just for me. I know I'm using myself as an example, but this is for many who have done the work. It's like there's a definite trust in the alignment. If you become a natural giver through feeling and understanding, yes, it feels right to help this person, that group, whatever it is, it will naturally come knit together with others, because that alignment in itself is going to reward, though it's not a reward, I don't even like using that word, but gift people with the mission that they were supposed to take in the beginning. And everything was in divine timing and divine planning. It was all meant to happen specifically. That, I always know that if I'm going through something, many others are going through similar. And that's what my channelings are all about. So that's why I bring up myself as an example quite a bit. And it's kind of like just relax into the presence of knowing thyself in the energies that are present at the moment, because they're so powerful that it's going to help you become more powerful. An alignment of that power means you're more stable and more strong in this world. What you speak and how you interact in the world becomes that alignment. It draws in people and other circumstances that will offer, and the receiving and exchanging will happen naturally. We're not all sitting as a hermit imagining something and then never getting out there, or you'll just feel a pull to move into certain scenarios. And if your mission is that powerful that you're supposed to do it, that's mission being, it could be anything. I'm not talking, everyone's special in my eyes, but if you feel that you have something specific that your heart really truly wants to ground in this world, if you felt like you were stuck and it's not really working for you, if it was absolute that it was meant to happen, I can tell you now 100%, a towel moment will happen. It will break everything down where you're at. Even if you held yourself in a little room and said, I'm staying in that room because I'm over the outside world, but I know in my heart I'm supposed to be doing this mission. They're literally showing me this movie where this guy, I can't remember the name of the movie, but he was sitting in his room and this great big, like a crane came and tried to bulldoze down his wall, went straight through his wall while he was sitting there, because he was trying to overprotect himself. He didn't want to move. He was scared of the world. And then he had to move. It's like that. You will be moved into the right scenarios. It will happen. So it will never be something that's done to you. If you were falling back into victim because of that, then there's definitely something you have to shift there. But if you see it as, oh, okay, I now have to move. And I still want to hold this beautiful vibration. So now I'm moving and holding, and it feels a bit unstable. It feels a little bit like, oh my God, what am I doing? It's kind of like when I left the last boyfriend that I had, and all of a sudden I was chucked into the deep end with, house sitting and everything. It's kind of like, You just got to do it. But you will always be looked after. And I have always been looked after. This whole year, I have been looked after. So you will be looked after. I really feel that. Yeah, I feel like in diverting, it's definitely, they wanted to bring through it in a practical way because some of the last channelings were quite etheric. But it's because the energy at the moment is more to do with you aligning with your powerful self. And that's going to shift the story and shift everything. Holy crap. Okay. Let's see what the time is, 8:50. Okay, so yeah, whatever you need, if you really, really need something in a physical way, it will come your way if you're in this empowered self and loving who you are. And you won't need to worry about things going wrong with you unless you are trying really hard not to step out to the world and the world is needing you to step out, that sort of thing. That just be aware of all this. The way that things happen energetically isn't always the same plan as what a logical mind would see. So a logical mind has it, oh, if I'm in my divine power, nothing will go wrong. Yeah, that's not the truth. It's like in the feminine power, nothing goes wrong. Everything has purpose, but it could be a disaster that hits you. So you could end up with this disaster taking you into a more powerful you. And always the feminine mind will turn itself back on itself. But we've forgotten to nurture ourselves. Feminine's forgotten to nurture thyself. And so we looked outside ourselves. We were taught by the masculine to look outside ourselves for that nurturing. And then that didn't happen because those outside of us was all trying to look outside of them and never really went within themselves to find the nurturing themselves. So we were all kind of wounded people trying to help wounded people instead of, I need to fix my own wounds. I need to nurture who I am, love who I am, move out to the world, and then I can have all this free energy to be able to help and guide other people. So you're stepping into your power. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, so I think that's about it. If any, yeah, I don't know. Anyways, if you feel compelled this week or whatever to go help somebody, please go help them. If it's in the right energy, I think we need to know that there's others out there that are doing this work. And is there anything else? Yeah. Don't forget that I am an intuitive counselor. If you want a one-on-one reading with me, I have a school called Amical that's on Patreon. That's got a lot of different telepathic lessons and tutoring lessons as well. And I also have hidden codes to a new reality YouTube channel. That's my second YouTube channel, and that has very powerful snippets of information in these beautiful videos I've created that are about 5-6 minutes long, most of them. The next one I'm doing, because it's a kind of back-to-back with the last one I did was Hidden Codes of Gold, and it brought in a little bit about a fairy tale called Snow White. And so I decided the next one's going to be Hidden Codes of Fairy Tale Snow White, because there is a lot of codes in these fairy tales. And I might do a whole fairy tale section so that we can understand these fairy tales in a way that is different. That's more to do with humanity's actual journey that we've gone on. So that's cool. Okay, guys, until next time, love you. Bye.